Nice Radio. Join your host, Joel Abraham, every Friday as we discuss important issues affecting our society from 8 to 10:30 p.m. For persons living outside of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, you can still listen to us on Nice Radio's website, www.niceradio.info, or you can email us at bdsnice@gmail.com, or simply give us a call at 784-456-5967. Remember, it's Keeping It Real, the interactive talk show program heard each and every Friday only on Nice Radio.
A message of hope, a message of love to our people and the rest of the world for the rest of the 90s in time. We seem to feel that life is over just because we throw a few pennies down the gutter. We seem to feel everything is lost, so we're fighting to get back something at any cost. But while we fighting and we fighting just to get back that little something, we forgetting we know nothing of this world in which we live in. Someone greater put this world together, so we must remember. In times of plenty, we must be grateful. In times of sorrow, we must be strong. In times of joy, we must be thankful. But life really has its up and its down. In times of disaster, we must be ready to get together and move racism out the way. And if you listen to this watchword from your lover, Blackie darling, tomorrow would be a better day for you and you and you. We meet a world today with 4 seasons. Now who is we to try and find out what's the reason and what goes wrong, so must come back wrong, so why that is so, nobody don't know. And there are so much other mysteries that nobody still can answer. So we just gotta sit thanks and keep looking to the future, because this world is not yours to control, it is just to behold. In times of plenty, we must be grateful. In times of sorrow, we must be strong. In times of joy, we must be thankful. For life really has its up and its down. In times of disaster, we must be ready to get together and move racism all the way. And if you listen to this watchword from your lover, Blackie darling, tomorrow would be a better day for you and you and me. As we go through this life we live in, We must know by now that this world owes us nothing. So live your life and just enjoy it. And let's try to leave this world better than we find it. Because the maker of this world with nobody have no contract, it have no paper that could tell you yesterday is going to come back. Look ahead, for tomorrow you're dead. After all is said, in times of plenty we must be grateful. In times of sorrow we must be strong. In times of joy we must be thankful. For life really have it up and it's down. In times of disaster you must be ready to get together and move racism out the way. And if you listen to this watchword from your lover, Black Darling, tomorrow would be a better day. Keep the faith, keep strong.
Good night, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It's Friday, the 27th of June, the third day before the end of month and the end of the 6 month, in the middle of the year. We're heading into the last 6 months of the year, 2025. And as you know, this time is the time that the program Keeping It Real is on the air. So, wherever you may be, and what medium you may be using, whether you're using social medium, AI technology, ordinary airwave, radio, television, WhatsApp, TikTok, Instagram, Keeping It Real is on the air. And as the saying goes, there's never ever a dull moment in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And wheresoever you are presently, whether your favorite water hole, or crab hole, fox hole, dog hole, snake hole, wherever you may be, Keeping It Real is on the air. As you know, exhale all of the bad enzyme and monoxide and dioxide and what is inside of you, blocking and making you uncomfortable and unease of listening and being edified and enlightened with this program, and take a deep inhalation of oxygen so that all those blockages will be cleared out after you exhale them out. You will be prepared. And remember, it's an interactive program. So when the line is open, all we're asking you is to be honest, real, truthful, and nothing scandalous, libelous, or ridiculous, or scaremongering to anyone or anything that may cause problem for you, for us, and the radio station. Just be clean, real, to discuss whatever matter which is, and we all would be safe. Keeping It Real is here. Now, the carnival season has kicked off as from tonight. There should be some show, I'm thinking, in the park. And there are a number of other activities, private functions all over. See the foreigners local foreigners who are overseas and other visitors are here. The bars at Heritage Square are open and they will be going 24/7. I think that's how it is. Because how when it started with Wicks, and there are few other areas throughout the country that these bars will be set up to entertain and for persons to earn a living. We expect to see the vendors on the road. Collection should start painting out the road and giving them numbers and so where they could be positioned with the ice box and so on. And all I'm hoping for is that we have a safe and clean festival and may we judges' decision be final, even though some of us may not be pleased with the decision. It is for us to complain and query, but at the end of the day, that's how it is. School also would be under summer break because they have maybe just a couple of days left for the children to be getting their report in the primary and secondary school and their book list. So, it's another hustle and grind for parents to find money to get the necessary equipment for the new school term. We may start the end of August, early September. So we also at the start of the hurricane season, and we could recall what took place last year in the first week of July. Hurricane Beryl, we are still recovering from, especially in the southern Grenadines, where there's numerous houses, especially on Union Island, that are still people who are still living in shelters. The house roof hasn't gone back on, and issues that they are facing. So all these are situations, and all that mixing with the politics of the day because we are in an election year. And as I mentioned before, 6 months have already gone and 6 more to go. So the situation is that, after the carnival, it can be a hectic situation, politics-wise, in the country. And we see all sorts of stupidness taking place. We see people behaving in a manner that sometimes you wonder if it's for real. But that is the situation. There's still some outstanding matters that is to be addressed. I'm wondering if the appeal case concerning the vaccine mandate that has gone to the Privy Council, if it would be heard in this last half of the year. So if a decision would come forward before the election and what impact it may have based on the results of the appeal, then thinking that there have been a number of issues concerning the COVID-19, where a number of countries are now pulling back on certain action that they had took, and they are paying out millions of dollars to persons who were impacted and affected in one way or the other. Those who didn't take the vaccine were fired, and those who took the vaccine have been impacted on them. And these matters are being challenged in various courts around the world. And our country, I think, was the only country in the Eastern Caribbean that had enforced the mandate on its people, while all of the others did not go forward with such action. And disenfranchised hundreds of civil servants and teachers and police and also in the public sector that were impacted by the public sector taking the lead of the government in enforcing this foolish but this is my opinion act that the disenfranchise people constitutional rights, which is the highest act of law for any country. And then the rainy season starts and the major road works are being done, but they are being halted because of the condition, the rainy season, and I have been going about various areas and seeing the condition of the roads. There was a in central Kingston, the minivan withdraw their services for a couple of days, and in some other areas like Keenan, Career areas, some vans are no longer plying the trade because of the condition of the road, and the other route that they have to take is having an impact on their vehicle and their basically what they may cannot pay for the damages that are being done to their vehicle. So it's safer to pull the vehicle off the road for the time being. And the public are the one that are suffering in such situation because some of them have to walk long distance with their load because some of these areas are farming areas. Some of them are not so strong and healthy as younger ones. And even the younger ones are complaining the distance they have to walk to and from on a daily basis. So these are situations that they are facing. And you don't see any relief in the near future based on the situation that they are facing. And then farmers are complaining as usual, and they fed up of the empty promises from the Minister of Agriculture. So say they don't know what next to do. They don't know what next to do. They have been trying their best, but they seem their best is off because all the promises that have been given to them is not happening.
Yo, say?
Blinken bought them on.
Yeah, best.
But you didn't mind.
Serious?
Serious.
Good people. Serious.
So that is the situation. And hoping, as I mentioned before, that we have a safe carnival, no violence, no death, and hope and pray that our people enjoy ourselves, clean fun. And at this time of the year, we have something that usually happens regularly. And I'm appealing to parents, especially those of our young female. Ever so often they leave home, some led astray by friends and some by their own mind. They leave home and they get caught up and sometimes they abuse and misuse. So hoping that we all look out for each other to address this situation, that it will not rear its ugly head in this season. Because too often you hear 13 and 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old leave home and they have been seen for the past 4 or 5 days and all these sort of things. And You know, there is all sorts of diseases out there and teenage pregnancies and all those sort of problems. We need to look out for each other. And we not only the young ladies, we also have to tell our young male, to respect the girl. And even if you're having a boyfriend girlfriend relationship, know how far you're going with certain things. Don't let temptation lead you straight to cause situation. And don't get into this gang thing and abuse because your mother is a woman. You may have sisters, you may have cousins, female cousins that you have to protect. So what you don't like, don't give. And it may sound like I'm rambling, but it's not I'm really rambling. There's so many thoughts in my head with this situation that to pin down one specific topic tonight would not be that easy based of what is transpiring and taking place presently. Person have asked me to mention this and mention that and those sort of things. So my response to them is that you can call in. Since you're listening, you have the number. You can call in. Let us discuss the issues. Let us have a conversation. And in that way, we can make things easier than sometimes making it sound as if I am monotonous with certain issues and those sort of things. So when the line is open and you have an idea or you have something that you think that is on your mind or that you're seeing that you would like to sing, call in. Don't just sit back and relax and arm in your armchair or whichever it is and listen. We all can make a difference by calling in to the program. We don't block anybody. We don't lock off anybody. We don't treat anybody unjust or unfair. As I mentioned before, all you have to be clean, keep it real, and it's easy, very easy. There are some issues that I hoping to discuss after the carnival because I don't think it will get justice presently right now in this frame of mind where some persons are in. So it's best whereby after the carnival and the dust has settled that we start dealing with these serious issues, some of which is about the development of the country, the situation that will be facing. We have over about 2,000 students between the secondary, tertiary, and primary that will be leaving various institutions and will be looking at the job market and all that. So we have to check on what is available or how we're gonna engage these young ones into being productive for the development of this country. But these issues cannot be addressed during now, maybe about the middle of July into August will be the best time because also to then by the end of by the middle of August to the end of August, the result for CAPE and CXCM should be back. So that will also determine the factor of a number of our students and young people as to where they would be heading futuristically. Now, as I say, the time is now more than ever that we as Vincentian need to think critically, analyze our situation based on a number of things that are happening worldwide and the impact that you'll be having on us. And we have to use what is available to us, technology in every aspect, to deal with the situation. And something I must say now before I take my break is that next week, Wednesday, is the AGM for Gecko. I know a lot of people may not know that. And I'm asking people to, if they have the chance, to turn out to the meeting. You need to attend these organizations that you are involved in. You are not a number. You are not just putting money there. You are a member owner. And don't leave it up to the so-called intellectual and elites to continue making decisions for you, the lower ones. In the credit union, that's where you have true democracy, one man, one vote. You may come there and you may be able to learn certain aspects and garner certain information because it is not carried live on television or radio, but it is as big as the budget for the country. Because when you have an organization that have almost half of the population of the country, that is a significant, and it's important that people turn out and make their contribution or listen and be educated about this organization that you are, as I mentioned, part owner. Because once you're a member, you're a part owner. And you would like to have your say into how your money is being invested, spent, and what. So it's important that you turn out to that meeting next week, Wednesday, the 2nd of July, at the Methodist Church Hall at 4 p.m. I will take a hold for now.
Keeping It Real is an interactive radio program heard only on Nice Radio. Join your host, Joel Abraham, every Friday as we discuss important issues affecting our society from 8 to 10:30 p.m. For persons living outside of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, you can still listen to us on Nice Radio's website, www.niceradio.info, or you can email us at bdsnice@gmail.com, or simply give us a call at 784-456-5967. Remember, it's Keeping It Real, the interactive talk show program heard each and every Friday only on Nice Radio.
Behold like us, and every eye shall see me. Behold like us, in great power and glory. Without music or with a sweet refrain, tell the world I'm coming again. Serious business, it is no joke. Get ready for the blessed hope. It's coming again, coming again.
Pleasant good night to all in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and those who are listening abroad. Keeping it real. Again, right here. I had some discussion this week with some individuals, and that is in relation to an article on one of the news network online from Major Leacock, where he indicated that the current Attorney General can't be Attorney General by day and a politician by night. And that discussion was a very heated discussion with some individuals who indicated to me that it happened in the past and it there's nothing wrong about it and people don't know the history. And I turned to those individuals and indicated to them the as far as I know, there was 4 attorneys general under the NDP and 3 under the Dr. Gonsalve. So under Sir James and Dr. Gonsalve, there was 7, as far as I know. If I missed any, you will able to help me. And there was Emery Robinson. There was, and then I calling them in order. There was Carl Joseph, there was Carl Dugan, and there was Pierre Campbell. Those were the attorneys general under the NDP, and under the ULP there was Julia Jones Morgan, John DeMartin, and Granville Williams. In the case of Pierre Campbell and Carl Dugan, they were political attorney general because the Constitution make provision for either a political attorney general or a public servant attorney general. So in the case of political attorney general, they can take part in the debates of the House. They also can vote in the proceeding of the House on any bills. If they are a fully elected member, if they are a senator, they cannot vote on constitutional motion, or they cannot vote on no confidence motion. If they are a senator, but different from that, if they are elected representative, and by virtue of being an elected representative, they were given the portfolio of the Attorney General. They have the right to participate in the debate of the House and also the voting process. In the case of, and I'm reading now from the Searchlight, I think this article came out in 2016. Let me just hear June 8th, 2016. So this was when the late Carl Joseph died, and I'm going to read to you the article. And let me just read the latter part of the article instead of reading the whole thing. Yes. Joseph, a lawyer for over 3 decades, was appointed Attorney General on 2 different occasions by Prime Minister Sir James Mitchell. Joseph's first stint came in 1986 when he took over from Emery Robinson. The stint ended when he resigned to take up duties with a regional organization. And this is the part I wanted to pay attention to. Let me see if it, no, okay, not later on. He returned to the office of the Attorney General in 1996 after 2 predecessors, Panda Campbell and Carla Dugan, resigned in quick succession. Campbell resigned in October 1995 after 8 years in the post, and Dugan quit in August 1996 after almost 1 year. Joseph threw his hat into the political ring in 1998 when he resigned as Attorney General. I wanted to underline that. Carl Joseph threw his hat into the ring, the political ring, in 1998 when he resigned as Attorney General to contest the West St. George seat for the NDP. He lost to the ULP Michael Brown. So when Carl Joseph, the late Carl Joseph, decided that he was going to contest the election to be a politician. He resigned as Attorney General, and then he contested the seat. So I wanted to underline that he resigned his position as Attorney General because he wanted to contest the seat in West St. George. Before Dr. Gonsalves came into power, he lamented that the Attorney General, when he got into power, his Attorney General going to be a public servant Attorney General, and he maintained, quote unquote, that position somewhat throughout. And why I say somewhat, which I will explain that later on. So Juliette Jones Morgan, as a public servant Attorney General, you never heard her take part in the proceeding of the House. She never debated on any bail motion, whatever. And there was one awkward position, illegal position, mind you, position where the Attorney General voted for the Speaker of the House after the 2010 election. So the Attorney General voted illegally at that time as a public servant. And I remember my friend Macaulay Peters and some other lawyers were having the discussion. And immediately when I heard because I was listening outside of Parliament, I think we used to lime at the National Bank, and I was listening outside. And I think, so when I heard the vote, illegally I turned to my friend Macaulay Peters and indicated that the Attorney General cannot vote because she was a public servant Attorney General and as a public servant Attorney General. And we had a lot of debate over that. And I remember Dr. Gonsalves, lawyer, passed around the same time, and Macaulay Peters called him and he indicated that he will look into it, which he did. And then we have Dr. Alexis, the former Attorney General of Trinidad and Tobago, come up, wrote a long, I think it's an 11-page document, which I challenged when I got the document and indicated that, because technically he danced around the issue, if you could remember clearly, and he didn't give any clear answer because, in my opinion, he knew that the Attorney General could not have voted. So he danced on the issue and indicated even if the Attorney General voted it, and even if we remove her vote, they would still have a lot of almost illegal garbage, but I can't say that. But a lot of things that wasn't in keeping with the question that were asked. So that was one occasion where we could remember the Attorney General voted in the proceeding of the House. And if the DPP wanted to, he could have brought charges against the Attorney General because the Constitution states exactly who ought to be voting in the House and who ought to be seated, different in the exchange of gallery, who ought to be seated in Parliament. So that was our rare occasion where the Attorney General, and before that, she never participated in any vote or debate in the House, and after that, she never did. John DeMartin, the same, and also Granville Williams. He never participated in the debate in the House or, as far as we know, the voting process. So there's a process in the Constitution. So in the case of Pierre Campbell and Carla Dugan, both of those individuals were political attorney general. They contested the election and they faced the people. And then Sir James, in his wisdom or whatever, decided that he going to go the route of the political attorney general. And both Pierre Campbell and Carla Dugan contributed in the discussion or the debate of the House of Parliament. So I agree with Major that if Granville Williams want to throw it or already throw his hat in the ring, he should resign as the Attorney General like Carl Joseph did and allow Dr. Gonsalves to appoint a new Attorney General, so therefore he can participate in the constituency and in the political process. And failure to do that, I think, is a level is an action of not illegal but immoral in my opinion, and therefore it ought not to be. Because if we follow in the example of the late Carl Joseph, he tendered his resignation when he was going to contest in 1998. So Granville Williams should do the same. Tender his resignation and nobody will have a problem with you. And if for some reason after the election is called and the ULP returns to office and Dr. Gonsalves wants to change his position and decide to go the route of the political attorney general, I want to appoint you to the office of the attorney general, then that will be a different case where you can participate in the debate of the House and also you can vote in the proceeding of the House. But until such time, I think you ought to tender your resignation and yeah, I now remember something. While I paused a while, I remember the law that were amended to give public servants the right to participate in the electoral process. So somebody sent in two things. Let me just read them if I. Yes, okay. So somebody saying they agree with me that Williams should do like what Carl Williams did. Well, you see, the thing is that I only have one vote. I believe no government should get more than 2 terms, like what Dr. Gonsalves had previously stood for. So my position is that no government should get more than 2 terms. So, but I can determine that I have one vote. So yes, so the lady saying don't say that he going to no longer be there. I can't make those bold statements. Yes, so he should tender his resignation and allow the process to go on clearly. And I remember also during the issue of the late Carl Joseph, where I had some problem with him being both Attorney General and the Director of Public Prosecution. I had my problem with that, but the Constitution make provision for that. And James maybe got legal advice and have him act in 2 capacity. But I had problem with it. I don't think that we should. And the problem I have generally is that the Attorney General is the chief legal advisor and not the government technically advisor, but the chief legal advisor. So every department of government, in terms of their actions or the decisions, because if you go into the courts and you carry a public servant to the court, you have to attach, or you have to attach their governor, the attorney general to that, to the claim. So whether he's there technically to protect all of us and to see that all of us, the 110, 111,000 constitutional rights are not being abused in any way or being trampled on in any way. And at the same time, give the cabinet and the government legal advice in relation to bills or things that they may want to take to the House to advise them whether or not is in keeping with the Constitution or is not in keeping with line with the Constitution. So that is his function. He have a dual function to look out for all of us and make sure that our rights are not being trampled on, and then giving the government the necessary advice legally so that they will do what is in keeping with the Constitution and the laws of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The DPP, on the other hand, is the one basically responsible for the justice and making sure that all of us, when we are charged on criminal matters, get a fair trial. And the DPP, to an extent, has some powers which like I indicated last week or week before, which I have problem with. But we remove that part in law. But he can still go into any court. When we had the private criminal complaint and discontinue, take over any matter, I had problem with that. I think if the state wanted to take the matter, they could have. And if there were cases where they refused to decide to bring charges against the individual, and a private citizen decide that he want to take a private criminal complaint, I don't think the DPP should have any call in the matter. I think it should be a matter for the judge or the jurors. So I had problem with that particular, but it's law, but I still have problem and it could be amended. I had problem with that particular provision in the law. So I think I deal with that part. The other issue I had some discussion with recently is school bullying. And I saw I can't remember if Miss Thomas is her name, and she had some issue with the school bullying, and also some other lawyer wrote on it also in the issue of school bullying. And I tell you that my whole thing is that it appears to be more prevalent now, and I blame it on the society. Because you listen to the Parliament of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, where ought to be the highest standard of debate, and you listen to certain behavior that is unacceptable, in my opinion. It's unacceptable and it ought not to be tolerated, but it happened. So people may be emulating some of those actions. And over the years also, when I used to be a part of the debating society, you will find that persons who take part in the debate try to emulate certain politicians and their behavior and the mannerism and other things like that. So that is a problem. But the school bullying is, so we had some discussions after I read those two articles, and there appeared to be some contradiction as to exactly who or which agents are responsible for the children or the child after instructional time, after the child left the compound. So you have instructional time, let us say from 8:45 to 3:45 or 3 o'clock, wrong it off and different than the college, but so you have that. And then the child is outside of the school compound. The question is who is responsible for the child outside of the school compound? Obviously, the state is responsible, and let me give you my understanding. The state is responsible for the child at all times. The parents is responsible for the child also, but the state is overall have the overall responsibility of the child. Because if the child out in the road and anything happened to the child, the state get involved, whether the police or other agent, but the state get involved. When you're in school and anything happen, the principal must involve the ministry, which is the organ of the state, the Minister of Education, which is the organ of the state. So there was some debate and some position from some authorities that once the child is in school uniform, is the responsibility of the parent. So let me ask some questions. So the child or children, let me give two scenarios first. First, you have some public transport, which are privately owned, but you have public transport and you have some school buses that the government pay drivers to operate. So the child or children actually will be on the school buses going to their various locations. And how in God's name you will want to say to me that the principal is responsible for the children after while they're on the school bus. That don't make any logical sense to me. How could you tell me that the children, the principal can be responsible for the children when they're on the public transport system? So it's certainly a kind of ticklish thing where generally the state have the overall responsibility. So let us take it another step where you have two children in uniform fighting and a law enforcement officer pass, what should he do? That is a question that you have to answer. What should he do if that is the case? Let us say the child or children have cutlasses or guns. And let us take it now to the age of criminal responsibility. The age of criminal responsibility was 12, and the government amended the law to take it to 12. It was 8, and they take it to 12. But in any case, the child is still a minor. And for anything to happen, you have to contact his parent or guardian. So there's some ambiguity in that area. So we need to sort it out properly as to what or when is the principal or the school responsible. My opinion is once you're on the school compound, the Ministry of Education and the principal, quote unquote, ought to be responsible. But outside instructional time, that is a different problem. Let us take another scenario where in some schools where you have to get a pass to go out the gate during lunchtime. And obviously, let us take it for granted. I shouldn't say obvious. Let us take it for granted that the parents is the one who asked the child to come and visit her at her workplace or to leave school during that time. So the school decide to give you that pass to leave on the instruction of the parents or guardian. Then who is responsible? Then obviously it must be the state still. So it's the difficulty. So like I told the individual that you know the law and what Charles Dickerson said about the law. So that is the issue that we have to contend with. The last but not least issue is, and I had planned to dive in on it last week, but because I was dealing with the police issue, I did not spend a lot of time on a particular issue where Dr. Gonzalez indicated that let me see if I find the article first, where he going to parliament to basically deal with the laws, the vaccine mandate laws. Just bear with me while I'm looking for my thing. Yeah, so basically he indicated that he going to parliament and he going to amend the vaccine mandate technically. Because you remember the mandate indicate that persons will lose their benefits and other things like that. So he's saying that he's going to basically carry a document to parliament to amend that particular provision that came into effect. I'm looking for another article. Yes, that came into effect. And the problem is that while everybody or most of us will agree that the law should be repealed, first and foremost, the law should be repealed. The vaccine mandate law, because it's still on the book as far as I'm concerned. I haven't seen anything or heard anything where it was repealed. If it was, I'm sorry, but I haven't heard or seen. So first, that need to be dealt with first, the repealing the vaccine mandate law. And after the law is repealed, we could discuss other issue after that. So when a lot of teachers and public servants who lost their job or lost their livelihood, what sort of compensation we are talking about? Because we're talking about forgiveness and reconciliation. What kind of compensation are we talking about for those public servants and teachers? I remember what his name again? Oh, Micah Richard, my friend. His wife died and left 2 children behind because she took the vaccine. We played the clip from her here on this program. Should the state be responsible for taking care of the children until they reach the age of 18? There's another teacher in Spring Village, my friend, who died also and left a child behind. Should the state, or how the state going to deal with that part of the issue, where we forced individual to take the vaccine, they took the vaccine, and subsequently they died. But in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, as I think it's Abidjan, it's not a real place, because in other countries, you'll find exactly how much person die after taking the vaccine. I can't remember. It's more than one we had publicly announced. And a lot of persons still having complications, some of them dropping down on the job. And some of them still have major complications. Some of them would have gone to the great beyond. And they may or would have left loved one behind, so they were responsible for. And in some cases, their parents who they were taking care of. So how are we going to deal with those issues? And like one of the individuals said last week, we were the only country in the Caribbean that imposed such ridiculous mandate on our citizens. I remember the former Prime Minister of Grenada, Keith Mitchell, indicated that he's not going to pass any law or put anything in law for a person to take the vaccine. And I can't remember he ever did. But he indicated that publicly that he's not going to do that. He thinks people should make up their mind and take it, but he's not going to. But we pass laws. We even placed a certain public servants in position where they were never in before. That was frontline workers. And there was, you remember the awkward position, the awkward the awkward situation with the public health workers, where they indicated and then the minister came out and said, oh, it was a mistake and all sort of nonsense. We were told that we were following the science. The science has then proven the export wrong. And those exports have then disappeared off the scene. And has not given us, well, most of them, locally I'm talking about, has not given us any information beyond there. I remember when the High Court judge here ruled against the mandate and indicated what the government did was unconstitutional. The export, quote unquote, they were silent like church mice. When you have the, well, I almost going to say puppy show. When you had the judgment from the Court of Appeal, where we had a judge on the Court of Appeal which were questionable. When they ruled, and you heard they came out and uttering their nonsense. My opinion, government should calculate the monies from sending those individuals were home and pay them with interest. Well, it's taxpayers. They should be paid with interest, because I know maybe some of them would have invested the money, some of them would have banked the money and get some interest. So they should be paid with interest, and all benefits intact before the COVID mandate should be given to them. Well, it belongs to them. They should be returned to them because it belongs to them. All benefits intact. And failure to do that, Dr. Gonzalez, well, I'm not in a position to determine whether or not they forgive you or they doesn't forgive you. Whether or not they see, when you sought or seek reconciliation, it should be granted. But until those things, in my opinion, are met, there should be no discussion about reconciliation or forgiveness. Some individual would have lost the transportation, some of them their homes. And to just wave a magic finger like that, I don't think it is acceptable. I don't think it's acceptable. I have few relatives who took the vaccine and are suffering. and are suffering, Dr. Gonsalves. The thing is that you may say to me, or other person may say to me, I can't determine it's because they took the vaccine. That is why that's happening. But it's my relative that I know they were not sick and carrying on, well, in that manner prior to taking the vaccine. So I can only conclude that is by them taking, well, so much, then we don't call it a vaccine, but I can only conclude is by them taking the vaccine because prior to that they were good and healthy. So let me read this and then I'm going to open the line. I now watch it 5 past. We normally open at 9. A child can put on a uniform anytime, any place. The principal is not responsible for a child on the school bus. I agree with you, and that is what I was informing the individuals. But apparently, they seem like the the enforcement authority apparently maybe give some subtle instruction that you cannot do that. And then I think also refer to the Education Act. So I went to the Education Act and I can't remember reading anything like that in the Education Act. And I then contacted one of my friends who basically deal with the Education Act all the time. And that person informed me that there is no such thing in clear writing in the Education Act. So I don't know where the enforcement personnel got that from in terms of relation to the act. A person who sued the state for vaccine, I ain't ready for you. Just give me a second, please. I'll come to you just now. I have to go on the other computer now. Okay. The person who sued the state for vaccine death while Gonsalves is in power may have to go all the way to the Privy Council in England. You see, the thing is that I don't think, but I agree with you, but I don't think that it may be a difficult case to prove because, you know, it might be a difficult case to prove because, you know, the court and as a lawyer, you know, the court look for evidence. But my problem is that what is reported on the death certificate. But I agree with you that if the person, and we know that the person, and that is why I believe that is the doctor is the one should have, their personal doctor should have been the one who have the authority to do the necessary examination and grant the exemption or not to grant the exemption instead of the disciples, Dr. Gonsalves disciples. I think it was a group of 12 of them. I have a problem with that. Abraham, I believe the PM is going to promise to pay and give them their benefits. Yeah, well, he indicated that is what I was saying, but I was looking for the article, but I didn't find it. I will look for it when I open the line. Yes, so the lines are now open. Okay, I think we have a first call. Pleasant, good night.
Pleasant, good night.
Good night.
I hope you'll give me a few minutes here to develop certain things.
Go ahead.
Now, it is amazing to me that at least it might be nearly 6 months that the Attorney General made an announcement. I think it's $6 million for road repair in South Leeward. And it's now some people catching up on it. I raised it on the radio station, and some people now catching up with it. Seriously? What the hell is the Attorney General doing making announcements on road repairs in South Leeward? And they're just waking up. Now, whole week, people been carrying on about public accounts.
committee.
What do you understand the Public Accounts Committee to mean, Abraham Martrell? Anyone you could tell me what it means?
It's where the budget.
Sorry, go ahead.
The budget that is debated in the House, and there's a committee made up of the government, of parliamentarian, which have the government side and the opposition, along with certain civil servants who would analyze the spending for accountability.
I'm asking specifically about the word public.
Oh, okay. You mean that it should be broadcast live so everybody should get to hear?
No, sir.
Okay.
The public account, you could actually name it the Government Accounts Committee.
Mm-hmm.
It is the public money.
Yes.
It has nothing to do with it being broadcast.
Okay.
There's nothing to do with that. Now, let me put on my glasses here to read some stuff. I hear people on the radio, some of them talking about who should do what and who should do what. The chairman of the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament does not have the unilateral power to invite the general public or media to attend its meeting. The authority to open or close a PAC meeting to the public is generally governed by the standing orders of Parliament and not solely at the discretion of the chairman. Committee procedures are set by standing orders. Most Commonwealth Parliaments, hold on, let me fix up my glasses here. Most Commonwealth Parliaments, including St. Lucians in Vincent and the Grenadines, regulate parliamentary committee procedures to standing orders. The standing orders specify whether a committee meeting is open or closed to the public and under what condition it can be opened. Traditionally, PAC meetings are held in private to allow members to question witnesses, especially public servants and auditors, without political grandstanding or media pressure. This is consistent across many Westminster-style parliaments. The chairman, the public, or media access requires committee agreement or parliament. The chairman may propose to open the meeting to the public or the media. However, such a discretion typically requires approval of the PAC as a whole or authorization under the standing orders or a specific House resolution. In some parliaments, special hearings or inquiries are significant public interest. Mismanagement of public funds may be opened to the public. The chairman can initiate this, but cannot act alone without the backing of the committee or compliance orders. Let me see now. All select committee meetings shall be held in private unless the committee otherwise resolves. Read that already. So, even if the chairman is in favor, it requires a majority vote of the committee to allow public media attendance. And the problem is, some people got this idea in the head that Public Accounts Committee has something to do with public. Public here in the case means government account, period. That's what it means. Like right now, I'm doing a public service. Period. No, gentlemen. Everybody know what I like to talk about. Everybody. By the way, I hear you mentioning, well, I'll tell you that. The fellow in Grenada on COVID, he was the most ridiculous person, one of the most ridiculous person on the face of the earth. Imagine, they had a law in Grenada that my wife and I, going down the road in a car, we must both have on a mask or we would be fined. You couldn't leave West St. George and go to East St. George. All them kind of stupidness were going on. And I hear people saying, why there no other country in the region imposed any, some people tried, but they had to back down. You know why? Because the public stood up against it. The public stood up against it. I remember they tried one significant place, the hospital in Georgetown. All the medical people stayed home.
Guyana.
Guyana.
Yes.
All of them stayed home.
Correct.
All of them. But you have in St. Vincent and Grenadines a vaccine that is merely experimental, that nobody knew what the effects of it going to be a year from now. But here's what they know. I know that in like when they started it in America, nurse taking the vaccine. Within 16 minutes, she dropped dead. 16 minutes of getting the vaccine, she dropped dead. You know what they did? They cremated her body and paid off her relatives. And there are a whole bunch of them like that. I could take up to Toronto, Ontario, there. In a month, 6 doctors, after they got the boosters, dropped dead. None of them older than 40. None. Now, you see, I might have to see where I could, because everybody thinks this is, according to me, you see this vaccine mandate thing is not something to brush over lightly. It is a major issue. And let me read this. So, give me a chance, Affidavit admits COVID death, yet no compensation. This is from the News newspaper of February 21, 2024. Again, let me adjust my glasses here because it's twisting up in my face. If one admits to killing someone, the society expects that there is some punishment or compensation. Now, during the recent vaccine mandate case, no lesser person than the chief medical officer submitted an affidavit admitting that at least one person died from the AstraZeneca COVID vaccine. I want to say this right now, and I sent you the information. The AstraZeneca people admitted in court that they lied, that when they talk about safety and effective, they lied. The vaccine was pulled from the market. So now let me see now. I'm pretty sure that the document, the affidavit said that the person was given the AstraZeneca vaccine, the person that died. Well, let me go on some more, fellas. Let me go on some more in Vincent and Grenadines. Let me go on some more. Since that admission, there has been many more admissions internationally, even as AstraZeneca itself, that many extra deaths have occurred as a result of their vaccine. Let me add something again for the people on this thing here. You know what? I resent when everybody calls this thing a pandemic. I actually resented it. Because the WHO, in order to suit, I'm going to use a word I resent using, a narrative, or to suit their agenda, changed the definition of pandemic. Changed it. So why is anybody talking about what went on as a pandemic? Furthermore, they did something a few weeks after that, changed the definition of what a vaccine is or what a vaccine is supposed to do. So they knew. Well, let me go on and read some more. Well, I tell you, I'm having a problem with this glasses thing here slipping on my face. Not that there hasn't been efforts. Let me see. What is strange is that has been a total failure to communicate with the family or relatives of the victim from the Ministry of Health or any higher authority. Not that there hasn't been efforts to reach out to the authorities either. Right up to the Prime Minister's office and including the Ministry of Health, the Attorney General, and members of parliament for the particular constituency. Now that's interesting. The Attorney General, and he did nothing. What were you saying before that the Attorney General was there to represent who?
All of us.
Not the government, folks. Not the government. So if this family here reached out, he, regardless to who then do what, he, if he wants a political whatever, should have communicated to the people. No, but he was more interested in telling you about $6 million for roadwork in South Leeward. Now, one understands even an effort to have a discussion with the Minister of Health ended up in failure to meet. The conclusion, therefore, is that the authorities appear not to be responsible to be considered any compensation offer, even though admitting that at least one person died from the vaccine mandated by them. Where is the accountability? And I go down, folks, you all need to get it. You all need to get this editorial for the news, if you're all serious. Vaccine mandate should be the #1 issue in the next election. You all get it and read it. One glaring omission from the New Democrat Party and the trade union is the silence from fear of wanting to make the vaccine mandate issue a major issue. All over the world, the media are exposing that a significant number of COVID deaths were caused by negative aspects of, even again, they go back to the chief medical officer. Many persons lost their jobs as a result of the vaccine mandate. And the government, despite international reports, still pushed to appeal the judgment handed down in favor of the unions. I urge you all to get it and read it. And you people, I tell you all something. I tell you all something. I know I listen to some people sometimes. And not everybody who call you to criticize is the enemy. You ought to be able to look on yourself and say whether this has any value to what he's saying. You don't call and harangue the person and cost them. And you don't you leave that to some people. I remember people picking on the fellow Travis because he mentioned something about the sinking port that everybody in St. Vincent supported. And he got kind of nasty with the guy. It is unfortunate that people in the NDP will get nasty with people who are trying to criticize them, trying to get them to buck up. It's unfortunate. You all have to take stock of yourselves. Now, I tell you something. I don't know if Dougie, I know this, but Dougie don't know, I know. And I recall, one night when I called all you, I got a call this Saturday morning. That somebody was calling you, and the person called you, and the person suggested, Dougie, that it was to get you guys not to entertain Frank De Silva because of his position on vaccine. Dougie, I knew. I never said anything. But I got a call early in the morning. I can't go into more than that because now all you want to know who called me to tell me that. Since it wasn't you, Dougie, and nobody associated with you. So folks, and now for the Prime Minister to come up with this thing here. And again, I don't know why people paying so much attention to this nonsense about pension and restoring that, because that's the least of the problem. We need to hear that these people have been penalized, who have been told to stay off the compound. Stay off the compound. And then you come with some, let me be cool, Frank. Be cool. Well, the abandoned job, you told them to stay off the compound. And you even threatened them with being arrested for trespassing, didn't you? You know something, I should have been the lawyer. And then Here we have some serious revelations with regard to this vaccine. Remember trucks going up and down the country, promoting vaccine. All, and I didn't know this, only to learn after the court judgment, one of the judges writing that we were given huge sums of money for this thing from foreigners, from people outside. I know one security fellow, Mustique is a land unto itself. You couldn't go to Mustique if you weren't vaccinated and all them kind of stupidness. There's one guy, he was security there in a wedding, so he feel good. And that was the other he. Not true. And listen, all these people, and I don't know, I think Anisha Baptiste them started something, but people are too afraid. These injured people are too afraid. They're suffering in silence. And I can tell you all, folks, I am certain that I have at least half a dozen relatives, young, who dropped dead from the vaccine. Imagine a teacher coming from Shatterblade to Chumaga, and somebody say, "What? She dropped down." Really? Is that what happened? No wonder Shelley Clark is taking the union to task in this editorial too, because they ought to be taken to task. And I'm saying, I'm going to make every effort to get, because for me, make no joke about it, fellas. No, make no joke about it in St. Vincent and Grenadines. This wickedness, people ought to pay a heavy price for this wickedness, because guess what? I have all the information that they were fully aware. They were fully aware. And I keep like to mention this one to people. After the reports were coming out of Israel, within 3 months, that bad things were happening. People who were never getting COVID were now 60% of them, between the ages of 25 and 50, were now showing up with COVID after they've been vaccinated. The Jerusalem Post, one of the people in the equivalent of the CDC in Israel, leaked the information to the Jerusalem Post. They refused to publish it. Well, he got it to somebody outside in another country. But Fauci was made aware of this. The CDC in America was made aware of this. So they decided to conduct their own study in Massachusetts. They had 469 persons. I know you all hear heard it already, but I'm saying it again. It is necessary. In July of 2020, to tell, and what happened? I sent you all the tape too, there too. You all got all them tapes there. But I go get them together, and I know what to do with them. I already know that. I know how to put them together. You know what happened? 336 of them ended up with COVID. Fully vaccinated. This was I am telling you all that by July 29th, the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines had that information in his hand. That. And the thing about the Israeli saying, if you think 4 vaccines were enough, you need 7. He had that too. And this was before, with all of that information, you go on in Parliament to tell people they must take vaccine. And I don't know why people saying they think. There is no think. We are the only country. Why think? There's no think. We were only country in the Caribbean to do it. The only one to do it. Impose vaccine on people. But I tell all, I'm putting some stuff together, with Bill Gates. In 2023, in July, Bill Gates sold his shares, made $248 million, and now selling book to say the vaccine ain't work. It couldn't work. We need a different vaccine. And you want to tell me people in St. Vincent still in court, wasting the public funds Yes, the public funds in court, so they're appealing something. As a matter of fact, in January 2024, Fauci and two others wrote a piece saying the vaccine can't work because the virus is in your throat, not in your shoulder. And by the way, Gerald Thompson, I have you on tape saying that when you get the vaccine, it's by your shoulder. Is that true, Gerald? Gerald? Where does it end up? In your brain, in your testicles, in your ovary, every single part of your body. Gerald Thompson, where are you? And I remember you, Abraham, and Margaret London, saying how ladies telling you all that since they get the job, the period gone whack. I remember a fella coming on this radio station a morning and saying how if anybody came to him with that, he would tell them to check for cancer. Guess what? A year later, the European Union admitted that the vaccine were doing strange things to women and their menstrual cycle. As a matter of fact, one doctor in Toronto put up a sign in his window, a gynecologist. If you took the vaccine, less than 30 days, do not come in my office because other women in my office are feeling funny, getting all kind of thing. It was called shredding, folks. Shredding, yes. So guess what I'm saying? I'm going to make every effort to get some programs going because you see this 5-minute thing, and I think that this vaccine mandate and its continued wickedness, children without their mothers, and nobody talking about them, nobody care. No, it ought not to go unpunished. I wish it were possible for every single member, every single parliamentarian for the ULP to lose their seats. Good night.
All right, thank you. President, good night. President, good night. President, good night. Hello?
Hi, Brother Abraham.
Hi, good night.
Greetings, Brother Frank Silva. And Abraham, Frank has come a long way, and I want to thank him very much, other than maybe myself, Frank. Who else, Abraham? Anise here, and I think a little bit of Jomo Thomas. Everybody else literally abandoned a genocide and a murder on citizens. And I'm saying nothing won't happen, Frank, unless the constitutional authorities, which is the opposition, because as you know, Abraham, you know what is rule of law, right? And Poya.
Yes.
Because Abraham, what makes us so dangerous to a dictatorship, but of people like Frank De Silva, yourself, Poya, is because we are willing to speak consistently. Because remember, when you speak, you're going to be attacked even by the very opposition. You're going to be attacked by your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, and the politicians, the pastors in the church, and so you're by yourself. So what saves me is my God. And I say, God, when a mother could call in and say, get him out of Jesco. I don't know if your mother's alive and if she would have turned against you. Then you know that other things are coming. This situation is not going to change. It's going to stay the same. Mr. Gonzalez is going to get away because you notice everybody's saying Prime Minister. What is a Prime Minister? What is a government? And I've said that we have to say this. And I think that is what the government in Trinidad, the current government, which was in the opposition, this is what they said. Do you want to keep the government PNM party in office, or you want to give a party a chance that can allow democracy to flow, rule of law? And if you don't have democracy, then obviously there's no way you could touch Ralph Gonsalves. There's no way you're going to touch the Ayatollah and you saw what happened in Iran, even when the Israelis did the job to weaken, say, no, don't kill. You have to understand what drives Ralph Gonsalves. He's very, very happy what is happening in this country. He's very happy for an opposition. but he's not happy for a few of us. And so we are going to be eliminated. And when I say eliminated, I'm using the word eliminated like what is used in a calypso, because I'm talking about from the airwaves, and we are going to be isolated from the airwaves by your very own mother. And if your mother, then obviously you have to think about managers of radio station. This matter with the vaccine has nothing to do with whether something is from Australia. It has to do from the beginning. There is a system called VOZ. It's what made me didn't get myself in trouble. The vaccine adverse event reporting system is a very early warning system that was never eliminated. But you know who said that it has changed? My good friend Dougie de Freitas, Sinclair Leacock brother, who is a doctor, Sinclair Leacock, all the other doctors, including Dr. Thompson, said that there is a new system. Said vaccines, they are safe and effective, and went through the same rigorous process. Abraham, I'm happy to ask you this question. Did the COVID vaccines went through the same rigorous process like the polio vaccines and all the other vaccines?
Based
yes or no?
Based on the information given.
Based on the information that you're getting. Because
No.
we're based on no talk. Because some people come on radio and they're talking. I know that Frank is very learned and he could talk because he has done his research. But all the others, have they done a research that came after me, including the unions, that isolated me, that bad talk Frank? I mean, what we're dealing with here, and let me say this, I ain't gonna be long, is an easy system to fix. So we call Mr. Gonsalve and give him a chance. Would you allow, well, of his family, will you come on here? Mr. Gonsalve, did you take a vaccine? I mean, Abraham, tell us something. Gonsalve is getting away now. I want to thank Frank again for saying, why are we going in any kind of a, look, I send you a document. I send it to Friday. I send it to all the stakeholders in the unions and every Ministry of Health, Curtis King. I send it to Sergeant Smith because he was one of the persons who fight not to give the police the vaccines, and then he give up the fight. And in America, 3 weeks ago.
I mean, the police gave up the fight because he didn't give up the fight.
Well, the thing is that, you know,
he
when I say
take the vaccine.
Obviously, it doesn't mean because he lost his job that he can't speak because me lost my job too. And I lose it again. Ralph Gonsalve and mother and brothers who helped them to put me out of a job because I'm not interested in a job where you have to buckle under a dictatorship. I heard rape, Hamilton, rape. And when I start to talk, you know it's muzzled on radio. But let me go back with the vaccine. So in America, updates, Frank. So what is the update? Very early warning signs was that detects any, not just vaccines, but medication. And all of these doctors should be ashamed, except 2 doctors who did something about it. Dr. Murray, Murray and Dr. Goodluck. And so that very early system, it helps you to know whether or not a vaccine or a medication is safe to give to the general public. Because mind you, you have the first phase, which is phase 1, rat and mice. So rat and mice, guinea pigs, or whatsoever you want to use. And why you use rat and mice? Because they have almost similar genetic structure to the human being. So you want to try it on them. And you're looking to make sure that you have efficacy and the rat doesn't die. And let me make sure we explain efficacy in a very simple way. I ain't gonna be long. Efficacy basically means that the vaccine can produce an immune response. Because why you want an early immune response? Some people don't have very strong immune system, and so the virus is allowed to go through your nose, come through your eyes, go down through your airway, end up in your throat, go down, and you don't want that to get down in the lung. If you have a very early response by introducing a vaccine, and they work good with other vaccines, then it means then that you're not going to get that virus in your lung. You don't want to get it in your lung because it destroys the lungs, turn it to water, and you're drunk in your own liquid. You don't want that. And I'm saying vaccines have worked before. This particular vaccine, a system was set up, VOZ, and that VOZ information came out very early. Because, when I was hijacked by the police, Abraham, they took me down, I don't know if they took down Frank or took down any Anisha. But they took me down. They had the audacity. And I'm saying that there's no way that the police going to take me down unless they're encouraged by some higher folks to take me down to the barracks. And while I was down there, I was able to show them the very early findings from the CDC to show after 3 months, these are figures that came out also in the Parliament of America by Ron Johnson. And he gave that very, very, very early figures. And he went on to get that 1,278 persons died who took Pfizer and Moderna in that very early from the CDC FDA, because that is what the divorce system is all about. So we knew very early. Thompson, Gonsalves, all of them, chief medical officer in America, all over the world, and Trump also, who rushed it, had that very early information. Also, another set of information came from the that Pfizer, and that data was really a joke, Frank. And I hope that you would have seen that, because really and truly, in vaccine, especially when you're dealing with vaccines in America, under the FDA and the American health system, that these vaccine companies for medication or anything must also scrutinize when vaccines are given out. Vaccines are given out in a particular way, and every one of them lied, including all of the doctors here. And sad to say, the opposition and every other person in the union gave wrong, said, no, we did an assessment and we find out vaccine safe and effective, and we play into the very narrative that it went through the same rigorous process. Never, people. And I'm willing here right now to go in the courthouse, but they didn't want me to come. So who did they carry to a courthouse? Some union people and Jobo Thomas? My brother, what we have here is a very dangerous situation now, coming from the reports coming out of America. And Dr. McCullough went on further to speak about phase 1. And in the very early phase, mice, so you give 10 about 60% of the mice, female mice, had serious problem to the ovary. And this is why, Frank, that so many ladies are bleeding. But this, Mr. Hamilton here, there's no police could come again. This time if they come, maybe they'll shoot me, they don't kill me. Because you don't have to make the sergeant. You know what the sergeant said to the deputy? Why are you even putting the man in a cell? Because when I gave him the evidence, I didn't give him no evidence from Australia or anything. I gave him evidence from the person who make. And these are justiciable documents. Justice meaning then that you can go debate Pfizer in another country. The Pfizer is authorized by the Americans. The Sputnik V is authorized by the Russians, and the AstraZeneca by the British. And I'm only saying here these findings are out in that parliament. 62% of mice, which concur with the very early findings. After January, 3 days, 1,278 persons died. By July of 2021, after Trump, because basically he was warned by Dr. Redfield not to rush a vaccine. Vaccines need at least 7 years to know long-term side effects. And by July, 13,000 deaths. I'm not talking here 1,000 deaths. And by September, these are justiciable figures that the chief medical officer should be calling and Rav Gonsalves to ask them yourself, for God's sake, why did you do it? And so the bottom line to this is that there was a serious blunder by my good friend, Dr. Friday. I begged him, I called him like a child. Most of the time he doesn't answer me, and I'm not making it up. And I said, Dr. Friday, when you're going to talk about, because I'm hearing some signals from you, because you seem like if you love this vaccine like Mitchell, and you're not understanding that these vaccines are in highly experiment, failed when they were doing them with SARS-1, because they had serious complications with young people and myocarditis and pericarditis. and many doctors warned, please take your time. And Dr. Friday made a very cardinal error by going to I want to stop talking, man. Because for me, is that the bottom line, Dr. Friday went to a clinic and put a camera in his hand. Why would you do that, Dr. Friday? There's a lot of people up here who took vaccines, they didn't even know about it. They were saying we want to take it, but then, oh God, Dr. Friday, take it, it's safe. And so many doctors warned, including Dr. Malone, that you don't take vaccines by your father taking it or a doctor taking it. You take vaccines from giving people the adverse event findings, and they know that it is safe. And then all of them team up. Unions, government, opposition. Of course, I don't like to use the word government because we don't have a government here. A dictatorship. And they team up on the people. And people were backed into the corner. Some people said, well, you know, in America did it, Trinidad did it, this one did it. That is not what a health system is there for. Our health system is there to protect Vincentians. And our chief medical officer and our minister of health and our opposition and our unions and our people. And this is why I say, God bless you, Sergeant Smith, because he did a very important thing. He asked for a very important decision to be made for the police across the region. And he went for a second opinion from the Bahamian doctor. And up comes Dr. Murray in that room, and he said, no, you can't rush a vaccine without phase 3. They're not safe. And why do you think the Bahamian doctor, no, that man is an anti-vax? And that is what you call Abraham. And that when you across the wall from Bill Gates' conspiracy, and the Bill Gates conspiracy is real because Gonsalve got sucked into something that he should not have said. In April of 2021, Mr. Gonsalve, not no prime minister, cannot be a prime minister. We had prime ministers that love us that would have never put, and Yusuf would have never put vaccines in experimenting people and killing young people. And I want to say again, God bless you very much, Dr. Murray, for standing up for what was right. To tell the police officers, do not put that vaccines in you. I remember when I was hijacked, I went down there. I had a talk with the so-called, we call it the deputy commissioner, and Mr. Francis. Shame on you, Francis. Shame on what you told me in there. You said, Hammy, will you take up a Sputnik V? I said, sir, Sputnik V is not authorized. There's absolutely no figure on phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. And he was there on Sputnik V. And we were told that Gonsalve took, never could Gonsalve have taken a vaccine that we didn't see phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 of. I am saying, to cut a long story short, the only way we are going to get out of this is to get Gonsalve out. But the reality is that Dr. Friday would equally be, if there is any criminal activities, would be equally, and also my good friend Dougie. I love you, Dougie, but you all said you get bad feelings from me. Who the hell you think I be? You think I'll come on radio unless I know what I'm saying? You think I'll come here unless I know? I send documents to you to show. You know what is happening now? From America, young people are dying by the hours, getting sick by the hours. And the reality of it is that when they're dead, they bought certificate, don't say vaccines, because why? All of the criminals against humanity have to make money. We understand 300 million. We don't know that figure, but in April of 2021, Gonsalve said, ladies and gentlemen, I can't pay the 20 million. The country is in trouble. You know what put the country in trouble, Mr. Gonsalve? Really? Hurricane? Really, Mr. Gonsalve? Not corruption, not thieving in JESCO, thieving in the ministry, without an accountant general and a public accounts committee? I can't pay the $30 million. So, you know how we're going to pay it? He said, comrades, really, Gonsalve, the civil servant. They said, what are you talking about? Well, they call him prime minister. And he said, it's something concerning the civil servants. He get things when he likes so much. And then he said the vaccine. Really, Mr. Gonsalve, that the vaccine is what going to help you to pay the 30 million? And so you had that in your head. And then in November, when he went in front of Sophia Batiste, Mr. Gonsalve, is it true that the reason why you're pushing the vaccine is because of money? Nonsense! Am I somebody who would sell Vincent? You sold me out of JESCO. I came to you, I beg you, Mr. Prime Minister, for help for the thieving that was going on at JESCO. And you said, Hammy, don't go any further. I love you very much. I will defend you. And the next year I went back to work. I lost my office. And then I'm put out of a job, encouraged by my mother and the all, because I want to bring Annie Newtons back. The only way we are going to solve this here is to really we need some intervention from outside.
All right, thank you.
And we get that intervention so we could get criminal charges against all unions, opposition, doggy, everybody who said they had information and give wrong information because of money. It must stop, they must go to jail. My God.
Thank you. Pleasure, good night.
Good night, my brother Abraham,
Good night. Good night.
and good night, Fire.
Good night.
You know, one of our main problem in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and we will always keep defeating the argument and failing to work in our best interest. We don't know how to separate doctors in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We have to know when to separate a medical doctor from a man who is a doctor, a philosophy, or political science. Now, the issue with the vaccine, and I got two issues I want to cover tonight mainly. Now, the information was out there for Vincentian, because I want to ask before I even make this point, what is our literacy rate in St. Vincent and the Grenadines? 2%? No. We brag about an education revolution. And regardless to what anybody say in St. Vincent, whether Dr. Gonsalve or Dr. Friday, you are responsible for your own life. You are responsible to read before you put anything into your body. So, if you my brothers, if I cook up some food and I share out some plate and you see I refusing to eat the food, would you eat?
No.
Okay then. The people who was making those vaccines, they did not want to stand behind it. None of them. Look what Congress was doing. Congress immune them from even prosecution. They immune Fassi. But yet, you don't. They have a new government telling you, breaking the Constitution and telling you to inject yourself. You are the one to blame, because this game plan, when we was talking about extreme poverty, it was engineered and the Vincentian people specifically for when the mandate come. That because of poverty, you cannot refuse. And this is where always the election have consequences. We need to realize that we only have ourselves to blame for what is happening in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And all those who take that vaccine have themselves to blame, because just today, right now, I'm on my way to work, but where I'm coming from, my neighbor, I went, she died. Today it was a funeral service. She take the vaccine. And the diagnosis was that in her vein was clot. She died. I pay my last respect for her tonight. And people need to understand. Don't blame Friday. Don't blame Gonsalve. Blame yourself, because you could read. Everybody go primary school in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You should have some sense. Now, when this issue now with the Public Finance Committee. Now, yes, the word public, it'll mean that it should be broadcast public. Now, broadcasting it is a decision made by the speaker, just like a judge. Remember the OJ case?
Mm-hmm.
It was a decision made by Judge Ito to broadcast it live. If he didn't want to do it, nobody could have made him do it. If the speaker want to take any information, anything that happened in Parliament and want to make it public, they can. It's their right. The speaker is like a judge in the House. They are the one who's supposed to interpret the rules that the representatives or the elected members should follow. And because it named public, it don't mean a public finance committee is supposed to only be staffed by elected members. It's a watchdog committee. And the opposition leader mainly, he can solicit member from the public who he thinks is forcing auditing. Public, we call the public controller, to look over the books. And if he want to invite them to sit in Parliament, to go through that budget, the government spending with a fine-tooth comb, he have that right. So because it named public don't mean it has to be broadcast. It means public because it's public money. And we have a right to know how it's being spent.
And the opposition member represent the people and how that money is spent. The government spending the money. The Public Finance Committee is a watchdog headed by the opposition member, and he can bring up anybody. He can choose any member of the public who he wants to sit with him, or he could bring them in parliament to give their analysis of how the money been spent. If the speaker wants to air it publicly, he can. But we have other organs in St. Vincent, the press. That is why the press is a vanguard of the democratic ideals, because the press have their responsibility in which they should inform the public of how money is being spent. And when the Prime Minister decide that he failed to allow the opposition equal time on NBC radio, he's breaking the law, because that is taxpayers funded. He could say you're not going on his other radio station and then where he funded, but he cannot stop us from making a statement on NCB radio. And these are the things we as Vincentian failed in our civic responsibility to stand up and say that the opposition should have a voice and our taxpayers funded radio station. So don't blame Friday. Don't blame Gonzab. Blame yourself, Vincentian. What happened in St. Vincent and the Grenadines is because of our ignorance as Vincentian people. The vaccine, you take it because of your ignorance, because nobody is going to give me poison. Nobody is not going to break the Constitution, which is the highest law in the land, and tell me I should take any vaccine. And if it means I will have to eat roast green plantain, and breadfruit, I will do it. But I'm not going to poison myself. What happened? Well, as Abraham, we call it, I must say now, but you defeat the argument in one, but it's only one argument I have to give to the Vincentian people. You have to remove this government because they break the Constitution. It's the trampling it, they urinate in it, and make you put poison in your body. And you have no other choice but to remove them. Have a good night, my brothers.
Thank you, you too. A pleasant good night. Okay. Well, on the issue, I don't think the speaker have that control to determine that he could open up the media. That is the decision of the members of the House, most of the government side, in terms of deciding whether or not you're going to have it open for the media. The speaker basically interpret the rules of the House and basically make ruling based on our understanding of the rules of the House. Pleasant good evening.
William.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have no problem with you. Why you just pay money by flow to watch movie or the TV to watch you?
I don't pay money by flow for that, so I don't know.
Well, the margin since too.
Hey.
Flow cut them.
You have a lot of noise in the phone though, but go ahead.
And to the one now, I can't get back no thing.
Sent Tuesday, you reported the matter? Definitely, now he went to go. But what you only have a right to report the matter, and I think according to the NTRC, you have 4 days, and then you file to the NTRC. But the thing is that I know they have problems, and we call them the contract workers, and them sometimes they are busy, and but they have a right to give you the service you are paying for, or the necessary. You should be compensated based on the length of time you're out. Pleasant good night.
Yeah.
Okay, better now.
Then flow again.
Yes.
Now, when you overflow, you have to pay them, right?
Yes.
Now, I don't pay them. No thing the since shoes that they cut off. To the other now I can't get back nothing to watch no TV. So which means the TV is watching me. And I can't watch the TV. When the month done, I still have to go and pay them.
Yes.
Means something has to be wrong there.
Yes, I listen to you. I don't know how to respond to that, but all I'm saying to you is that I think they have a process in place that after 4 days you could go and collect a form of the NTRC and you file a complaint. I don't know how effective they are because I never used it, but that is, I know that is the process after 4 days. So I think in the whole
Yes.
thing, they give them 4 days to remedy a problem.
The most thing them is telling me,
Mm-hmm.
I must claim my bill.
Mm-hmm.
My bill, but I don't owe them. So it me when the night come now, instead I watching the TV is watching me.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see nothing. So why should I pay them?
Like I said, I can't answer the question. All I can tell you what the process that you have to follow. So you keep reporting the matter and keep, because sometimes you have to report more than one time. They tell you already it's lodged in the system and a technician will come and visit you. So you have to keep behind them. So that is the best advice I can give.
All right, then. I will go to them again one day.
Okay, cool.
All right, then.
All right. I think this is for Cheryl. Cheryl, somebody indicated that the answer number 2 with yesterday, and they are still waiting the credit. That is Love Chronicles, I believe. So, yes, keeping it real right here on Nice Radio. So, yes, I was saying that the Speaker of the House, she can't make the rules or make those decisions. She basically follow the standing orders of the House, or she take orders from the leader of the House government business, and then she can then give the necessary instruction to the clerk of the House to send out to invite the media, but she can't do it on her own. In cases of the court, overseas, I don't know whether or not in some cases I think so we probably some of the cases are live too. I think when they have somebody during the vaccine time, you have some of them on Zoom where we was able to view them on Zoom. So I think yes. The Public Accounts Committee, I think you'll have to wait until the report being lodged in Parliament when it become a public document, and then you can get a copy of that document. Once it's laid in Parliament, it become public. So after the document are laid in Parliament, then or the minutes or the Hansard, call it what you may, then those are public documents. So then you ought to obtain a copy if you want to. But but I think in those most of the things should be public, because my understanding of the Public Accounts Committee is that they discussing the budget or the expenditure for the government, and therefore the Auditor General and whoever else are invited, they are there to answer questions if the members are not clear, and therefore I don't see why it had to be done in secret. But if that is the case, then you get the document when it is laid in the House of Parliament, then it become a public document. So we may just have to wait until such time to find out what happened. Poya? Okay, somebody say the same. The speaker must abide by the standing order. Yes. Okay.
Well, as we can see, the whole COVID situation is on the rise again, because recently I saw where they say there was a new strain in China, and a whole sort of issue, and then Trump came out and said that nobody should take the vaccine.
Pleasant good night.
Let me call. Hold on a second.
Yes, Poya, go ahead.
Yeah, that nobody should take the vaccine.
Yes.
Okay.
I just sent you a thing there. I hope you will play it before you go. Now, with Mr. Malone, the man who invented the thing, chief inventor of the thing, what he say? The convention last week, a royal commission, not like the phony thing they had in England where Boris Johnson came and apologized. You hear who apologized? He apologized. When St. Vincent we carried on with this shoppiness. And folks, in New Zealand, you just mentioned it there, Poya, not New Zealand now. In Australia.
Australia, yes.
Heavily vaccinated. I just got it here today or yesterday. COVID all over the place. And there's this scientist who used to work for Pfizer, came out from the beginning and said, you cannot vaccinate people in the middle of something because it would mutate and different strains would come up. So in Australia now, where they're so heavily vaccinated, there's a problem. As a matter of fact, I think I sent you all something today where people are calling for prosecution of doctors, nurses, and even the new Mr. Dawson of one of the states, based on what they were saying about the vaccine, calling for prosecutions for all of them, nurses, everybody. I was told, that in the Grenadines that certain medical people were offered. Well, they did it in England for sure. The more people you vaccinate, you get like 25 pounds. I understand people in St. Vincent will be being incentivized. And Mr. Please, you could make, but you have to be a little more restrained, Mr. Hamilton. You sometimes become extremely overbearing. Restrain yourself. Try to restrain yourself so that people won't have a problem listening to you or entertaining you. That's some advice, Good night, guys.
All right. Yeah, boy.
So yeah, that is what I was mentioning, and it is being claimed that the vaccine is not helping; it's only making matters worse. And the best defense of it is your natural immune system.
You see, my problem, I depend on the law itself that basically dictate to people and make it awkward for people in terms of losing their job and other things. It's the other individuals who have their opinion, that is their business. And that is why I don't deal with the individual things, whether or not Poya tell somebody to take or this. Is the law I dealing with that passed, and my opinion, the law was illegal. The person were forced to take it, so I cannot disagree with the one, even though they could read, some of them is the livelihood. They were the only breadwinner in the home, and they have to take it. And I know persons who basically held out until the last moment, and then they weigh the balances. I mean, that is their choice. They weigh the balances and decide that they didn't want to lose their mortgage. They didn't want to lose their homes. They didn't want to lose a lot of things, and they took the decision that, okay, I'm going to take this risk, and they took it, and that is their choice. I not. Pleasant good night.
Hi, good night, Mr. Abraham, and good night, Mr. Poya. Abraham,
hey,
what you just said there,
what?
That people take it because it's the livelihood and the job.
Correct.
Now let me go backward. What was the purpose of the protest?
What one? The protest?
For the mandate, vaccine mandate.
They didn't want it. Some of them.
Yeah, but that was for them. So nobody really for them knows. No, the opposition took upon themselves and they organized a protest against the mandate, which is for you, Mr. Abraham, the worker. the workers.
Mm-hmm.
You all didn't pay no heed to it. You couldn't even look in the protest and say, well, look a group of teachers there, like 50 of them. Look a group of police there, 50 of them. And look, they have the public servants. They were wanted.
But yeah, great pay by the end of the day, people make the individual decision for the
But
livelihood.
but if you're against it and a protest in your favor,
Mm-hmm.
you hardly see any nurses because the nurses was to come out. You hardly see them, Abraham.
But you have to understand the element of fear also that in the nation.
The element of fear, so they had
Yes.
double fear then. They had fear for the job and fear for not taking the vaccine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Well, oh boy, that is where we reach.
Well, you know, waking up and smelly coffee.
But Abraham, they didn't have to have no protest, no.
Yeah.
They didn't have to have any organized, a well-organized protest.
Mm-hmm.
All the public servants them had to do. Come out.
Yes, if everybody
Just join hands and come out, you don't want the vaccine.
Correct.
So all the cancer, nobody didn't try, you know. That is most of the time they're talking about who lose their job and that. But they're not giving emphasis on the protest.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Give it a kudos that was organized for them.
Mm-hmm.
But plenty of them are obligated because this is my opinion, they were given the job by the government. You understand? And you're going to say, no, but if I was a public servant time, I would have been in the protest. You don't want it anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have, it didn't have to be the majority. And if you have 100 nurses, all 100 didn't have to come.
Mm-hmm.
And the cross section of public servants, they have the.
Let me give you a joke. That's short. The police officer was carrying home an individual during that time. And told on the phone with some of his colleagues and say, if you didn't take it, we'll pressure you and I will deal with you.
No,
so if some went out and some, you don't know what happened.
Right, and the majority of people in the protest, them even public servants, some of them even get treated.
Correct.
Like Harsman and all them other people. A lot of people came out to support. And the people them who it was meant for. And they're behind the curtain peeping.
Somebody sent in a text said that the police can't protest, so they only can have stick out, so the police.
But what's the difference between stick out and protest?
Stay home.
Stay home, you say?
Yes.
Yeah,
but they couldn't go on the protest line. Because,
but that's always up front with me. That protest was for them, the public servants. All of them was to join in union. Well, I have a friend who's a public servant, you know. And God bless his head of department. Like he wasn't pushing it, you understand? But I had someone terrorizing the workers.
Correct.
Yes. So they didn't push it and he escaped, right? He escaped that, which was good. Yes, the protest was for them.
All right. Huh? Remember 1998, 2000? You remember the protest?
Nobody motivated. Oh, it was glorious. Especially the nurses. It had the nurses them was so vocal.
All right.
Yes, everybody.
Right.
Yes.
So now let's come forward now to 2021, 22. Right? And it's a similar situation.
Yeah, right? but fair.
But now there's a different situation because the persons who is defending is of a different inkling than in 1998. We had a kind of gentler nation. We had one at all costs, all means, it will crush you. If it even mean right down to your children, you will feel the penalty of standing up.
And you know,
and that is the situation. And people basically and I don't know how it come from, where it come from, because persons in 98 who stand big and broad and show them manhood, right now they're like wimp.
They're like wimp now.
Wimp, yeah.
Yes, but something with the public servant that I I just don't understand. Right? You don't want this thing in your body, Poya. Organize. Organize yourself. You understand? Even some people with not religious, this medical, they were given a hard time. Very hard time. And very few people get exemption, medical exemption.
Correct.
Very few. Because some of them argue. And you know what happened to? Sir James Mitchell was for it. But oh Lord. And he took the vaccine, and what happened? Eh? You see people this vaccine, and what I don't like is St. Vincent is the only Caribbean island that suffered that. Okay? The guy in Antigua, he had drafted up his mandate too, but he pulled it back. Yes, he got sensible and pulled it back. But not, hey, why? Eh? All right, I want to go into Carnival, Calypso. Now, the origin of Calypso, as we know, is during slavery, right? Boy, am I right?
Not
Yes, the
totally.
slaves used to come
Not
and sing.
totally. Not totally.
Not totally. The boys
No.
used to come and sing and whatever
Yeah.
it is. You understand?
It's
To do with
something
the-
that they brought with them from
Mhm.
back in Africa.
Back in Africa.
Yeah.
Right. Well, from there we were coming up and we listened to Calypso and they were crafted, lyrically crafted. You understand what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
With melodies and whatnot. Now up to date, they had over 70 something people competed in the Calypso tent. And of all the 70, the majority is those sweet and happy songs we have in, and hardly any calypsos. That's what I call calypso, you understand?
Yes.
Right. So it seems like the legendary Knights, Mr. Knights, Patches Knights, yeah, he's very passionate to keep the culture alive, especially calypso. But Patches is aging, and we have to pass it on to the young ones. And sooner or later, we won't be having calypso. What we will have is songs. You understand? And this thing happened too, because you're talking about fair. Why should a politician or the head, you know what they did with them? Rample them up. Sometime age come have a song, they ban it. You have to go change up this. Then Zion I come, you have to go change up this. Don't put in that and all that. So fair was instilled. Understand? Because they have some Calypsonians, if you give them a song, no, they won't sing it. Because I remember when Chief was alive, Chief was a writer. You know that, Abraham?
I must do that.
Yeah, he will write song, and the people then will tremble and say, no, Chief, I can't sing it. And nothing really degrading, but, you know, it was crafted in a way that they cannot, well, put any blame to them or any whatever it is. And that continued until we stray, and now we are totally. And I was surprised to hear Cian Marshall bigging up Calypso and encouraging people to go to the Calypso show. And he know how they treated Calypsonians. Okay? Up to today, Calypsonians, I don't know how to look at them, right? But they will look at the lower end of the ladder. Let me put it that way. Or the Caribbean country will have them at the top. But hey, they have to beg for increase. They have to beg for parents' fee to increase and all them things.
They have to do that in Trinidad to under, what is his name, Gypsy.
Yeah, they have to do that.
Yes.
But their money was much more.
Yeah, far more, yes.
And far more, and they were respected by the public.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Yes.
It's only now really people, well, really coming out with the Calypsonians. So I don't know where that is going. And IPA just played safe, and IPA got crowned. It was not, IPA don't sing, he sing the happy songs then. But he got crowned with one coming close to a calypso. When he did sing. Paul, you remember? Let me see. You remember what he sang and he got crowned?
I think it's One Caribbean Nation.
No, he got crowned with that. They want him to sing on the Big Belly Man. You remember? I think it's that he got crowned with. Anyhow, Sunday night is the semi-final. And I'm telling you, up at the cruise ship board, when you talk about decoration, look for it. You see this here? Oh, up there will be beautifully decorated. I'm telling you, they're having cocktail, all kind of things. I wish in this festival, I wish in it well, but the people on the drawing board should see that we are moving away from what we had known Carnival to be to now. I hear they bringing back monkey band fire. I don't know if people you get in to play this monkey. Okay?
You got plenty.
No, you have people, man.
You got
Small,
plenty.
yes, I know you're going down Natalie Ward. But no, leave it. We don't evolve. Monkey band ain't anymore. Them young people ain't thinking about no monkey band. You could relate to it as history, but there's certain things that is not needed now. No, Poya come to school quickly. Well, Poya don't want you answer, but Abraham, imagine in school now, they have what they call friendship. You're bringing money for friendship. What is that?
Poya got to have to help me with that.
No. Oh, God. Poya had children, remember? Poya had to.
Yeah, well, I don't know why they carry it for friendship.
No, tell me. It's time to look in this education with pay and wear, fun day. Every minute is an activity. Now they have one called friendship, but you bring the money for friendship. You could explain that to me?
Is that we have fundraising?
Friendship?
Yes, the school we have a way of raising funds.
Yeah, but what do you want funds for? What the school want funds for?
The printer, the papers.
But if you operate the school talk shop, you have to pay a rent. The rent for prep school talk shop was in the thousands,
Okay.
But the last lady rented it for 900. Where that money goes? Where the money goes when you on the PTA, I suppose. Where the money goes for the rental in the talk shop?
From my experience being on PTAs, right? Do you have various fundraising activities during the school year? Some by the school itself and some by the PTA. And that funds is to assist the shortcoming from time to time when the ministry send the things like toilet paper. Also, they need the same paper for
the
exams and so on. Also, to assist children and also assist sometimes with the feeding program because sometimes school open and stuff ain't come.
So, the rent from the talk shop can accumulate and pay for that?
Not totally, because then remember you have to pay workers and all that.
Yeah,
the ancillary staff. You have the school have ancillary staff.
Like staff like what?
Okay, like
who is the staff? Who are the staff?
The ancillary staff is like persons who would deal with the toilets and so on, with the little children and so on a daily basis.
So who pay the cleaners? The cleaners you're talking about people different to the cleaners?
No, not the cleaners. They're different to the cleaners. Somebody who is there in a kind of permanent basis to lead, especially with the kindergarten and so when they go and use the washroom to assist them and all
Which
that.
one the school have it? Prep school only?
Prep school. Other school have it too.
Come on, boy. Not the school ain't had them kind of thing. All they have security.
Yeah, other school have it. Other school have it. Because I know at high school you had to pay for the sanitary bin and all those sort of things and them sort of things.
You going at the top school then?
No, I ain't going at the top school. The school I just mentioned in school that I've been involved with that have this sort of thing. The CUNY school also have similar things.
What about the recent exam? How your horses? How they came? The prep school.
Well, I haven't analyzed the exam fully as yet.
You haven't analyzed it yet?
No, because I'm not just looking at it just so.
But something is wrong there now. You know the two most diverse schools in Kingston, in St. Vincent, is prep school and CW Prescott. They have children that come from all Barrel, all Prospect to go CPA, CW Prescott, you know. The reason why I saw some children from Lady Mother says she don't want to send them in no school in the village. You hear that?
I know all that. I know all that. And this is something things that I don't agree with.
Yes.
These are things that I don't agree with because I'm telling you this. If my transportation were up, I would have been carrying my children and them, my grandchildren and them to Dorset Hills.
Oh.
It's a smaller school. I have
Yes,
confidence in the teachers
so
that
why
are
we
there,
have that
and they would take more time.
Yeah, but when we have that mindset, it's a policeman that's come from Vermont every day hustling back and forth to take a child to prep school. Eh?
Well, prep school have a stigma.
Hard,
From way back.
hard.
Right?
We in the past now.
Yeah.
Prep school no longer have that
Prep
because
school,
you see the move away now. We gone to the money school now.
No.
It's money we talking, okay?
No. One last thing. Prep school is what Sugar Mill is now. If you can recall, it's only the elite could have gone to prep school because then you had to pay.
Prep school.
No, for all you had to pay to go to prep school, just like our Sugar Mill now.
Yes, and they move with that fee. Yes. Okay.
Go ahead. We have about 5 minutes.
All right then. I want to talk about the last thing now: rental house, rental with government. Government rent some houses, right? For people who with burial.
Yes.
Okay. But let me tell you, the people and government behaving the same, the rentals. You know, I know up to houses up Murray Village, Abraham. 10750 is now 1200 and 108 and 11. Oh God, government bad, but you can't do them that. And one of the homeowners asked to look for, they asked her to look for somewhere cheaper. From 750 to 1200. You hear me? We have a cycle here. It's dangerous. And good night, sir.
All right. Yeah, that'll be our last caller for the night. Let me just see. Hello, everybody. I thought tonight was Calypso competition. No, Calypso competition is Sunday night at the cruise ship. Okay, that is something else. So somebody telling Margaret London a very good, healthy welcome back. Kitti's Government School have an auxiliary worker with in the okay. A pause. Okay. I wrote a calypso entitled Monkey Band saying that is not everyone who can put in your monkey band. And not everyone you can put in a monkey band. Yeah, so I had something I was going to say. Poya, the thing is, you compare 98 with 2021, there's no comparison. In from 94 election, the NDP was slipping in popularity. In 1998, it was worse because it was 8-7, and people know that government and basically all the arms of the state were basically supporting the opposition. So therefore, there was no need to be fearful then. And even though to a large extent the NDP used to operate differently than the ULP, but there was no need to, because people could have seen a change was coming and they didn't concern about anything. So they know that, because my good friend told me that he sacrificed his seat because in 1998, the NDP was supposed to lost the election, but he sacrificed his seat. That is why they escaped through. They escaped through 8-7. So people know that, so therefore there was no need to be fearful. In 2021, I don't see there any need to be fearful also, because you are backed by unions, and once you give the necessary notices to your employer, then you have a right to come and protest. I don't see it, but if people are faithful, then they have to know why. They have to know the pressure they're going through inside the workplace. So I can determine that for them. I know if I were in the position, it would have been different, but that is their right to do what they think is best in their interest. I don't think at the time, I believe if everybody stood up, including the entire police force and the rest of the public service, then we'd have a different result today. We wouldn't be talking about the vaccine, because if all of them, a larger percentage, decide to back the unions, I think we wouldn't be talking about any mandate today. And Frank illustrate what happened in Guyana, in Georgetown, when they decide to do that, and all the nurses and them, and they have to abandon it. So I think there's unity and strength, but some people are too coward. For a happy minute.
No, I beg to differ, but I will not to go into any detail right now because being in and understanding, I'm going and talking with people. I know what the fear was like, and those who were put in authority. The public service is a different situation.
You could take it up next week.
Right? And how the Army 98 as compared to presently. This regime, when they got in, they ensure they put their persons, the tentacles in thing. Change up the whole thing. They have certain constitutional rights and so forth has been eroding all the time. The public service, when I entered the service, I knew I was told it was operating in black and white. Many a time now, it's a phone call.
We will continue that next week. So, until next week, we have a wonderful evening if God spare our lives.
Keeping It Real is an interactive radio program heard only on Nice Radio.